Hi, I'm Jess Irvine, personal finance expert. Amid the rising cost of living, there has perhaps never been a more important time to get a firm grip on your finances. While we know rising costs are impacting different households in different ways, I firmly believe that everyone can benefit from setting yourself up with a system for managing your money, not only to help prepare for upcoming bills, but also to start to save or add to your savings and just to have a better relationship with your money in the longer term. So, whether you're a budgeting beginner or simply looking to fine-tune your existing budget, I'm going to run you through 3 of the most popular methods for budgeting your money, so you can choose one that works best for you. But first, if you are really struggling to pay bills, do head to the Cost of Living Hub on our website for where to go for more immediate help and support. The reality is there is no one-size-fits-all solution to budgeting, and you get to choose what works best for you. So, if you are looking for a place to start budgeting, here are 3 options for you to consider. One budgeting method often recommended by experts is the buckets method. Essentially, it's about splitting your money into different buckets for different purposes. The idea is that you sit down and decide in advance of your payday what proportion of your take-home pay you're going to automatically transfer to different accounts for different things. One bucket structure is that you should divert 50% of your pay towards covering your needs, 30% for your wants, and 20% to savings for your future self. So say you had an income of $1,000 over a given period, you'd set aside $500 for needs like housing, transport, food and groceries. $200 would go straight into your savings account, and that would leave $300 for you to spend on your wants, whatever they may be, such as eating out, shopping, and entertainment. This simple rule can be a great way for people to start their budgeting adventure, particularly for someone who's not currently saving any proportion of their income. Similarly, if you do struggle with impulse spending on your wants, setting a limit for your discretionary spending over a given period may help you to curb your spending. Once you've spent the money, it's gone until the next pay period. Many people are also attracted to the idea of automating their finances and savings, so having money directly flowing into savings can be helpful for them. But the bucket method might not work best for everyone, particularly for people on very low or very high incomes. To show you why, I have set up an experiment. To show you why the buckets method doesn't work for everyone, I'm going to need 3 glasses. So this large glass represents someone with a high income. This medium glass represents someone with a middle income, and the small glass represents someone on a low income. I've also got 3 different buckets for needs, wants, and savings. I've also drawn lines on these to represent the 50-30-20 rule. So needs are set to a 50% fill, wants to 30%, and savings to 20%. So this first glass represents how much it costs to keep a normal human being fed, clothed and housed, etc. to some basic level of needs, which would be common for everyone. The next glass represents what is left over for the wants and then for the savings. Now, here comes the income from the middle income earning person. Okay, now see how you can easily pour in half to roughly get up to the right level? This one up to once and fill up the rest for your savings, and we might just top up the needs a little bit. But roughly you can see how for a middle income earning person, you can distribute the income roughly so. So far, so good. Now using the magic of television, we will reset these glasses. And now I'm going to need the very high income glass. Now pouring 50% of this glass into the needs glass would actually make it almost overfill. There's only so much a person needs after all. So you might think it would make more sense for a high income earner to actually pour more of their income as a percent into either wants or filling up their savings for an earlier or more secure retirement, for example. Finally, consider the case of the low income earner. Now their entire income might not even be enough to cover their most basic needs. Overall, the buckets method can be a really great place to start, particularly for someone who has no idea about budgeting, but it's not perfect for everyone. The second method of budgeting to consider is the cash envelopes method. So this method has had a surprising resurgence in recent years as people look to cut back their spending. The cash envelope method involves taking out a certain amount of money in cash and determining how much of it should be spent on different categories within your budget. So people often create envelopes for their variable expenses like clothes or shopping, eating out or entertainment. Once the cash in that particular envelope is gone, you simply can't spend any more until the next pay period. Now, the cash envelope method does enable you to take a closer look, in particular at some of your wants spending. The use of physical cash can help you feel like the money is a bit more real if you're someone who would otherwise rack up transactions without ever really reflecting on the purchases. On the downside, of course, cash is not accepted for all expenses, and this is particularly the case for larger direct debits like utility or loan payments. There's also the security risk of keeping cash at home to consider, along with the opportunity cost of not having your money sitting in either an interest-bearing savings account or, if you have a home loan, in an offset account, reducing the amount of interest you pay on your loan. I don't think this is a method for most people, but if you want to give it a go for a period or just for certain categories within your budget, it could be a useful experiment for some. Now, the final budgeting approach I want you to consider is what I call the tracking approach. The tracking approach is really about taking a much more granular approach to tracking and observing your actual income versus spending over time and your resulting budget surplus or shortfall. As I've said, a budget is really just any sort of attempt to capture a snapshot of your income and expenditure over a given period. Now, this can be done prospectively, meaning you sit down and try and predict it in advance, or retrospectively, meaning you simply look back and reflect on your actual income and expenses over a time period in the past. Seen this way, budgeting is really not about restriction. It's more about estimation or observation. Over time with doing this, you can start to build a picture of your finances and where your money goes based on your actual habits. And by reflecting on where your money has gone, you can start to hone and shape it so that you spend your money in better alignment with your values and what brings you joy. The drawback of the tracking method is that it does tend to require a bit more time, but I do think it is time well invested. A great place to start if you want to try to estimate your budget in advance is the CommBank Budget Planner, which you will find on our website. This planner will help you list out all your expenses and your income and help you to arrive at an estimate of your budget surplus or shortfall. To hone your budget estimates, you can then start tracking your spending to see how well it fits with your estimates. And you can really do this any way you want, and it can be as simple as grabbing a pen and a piece of paper and just committing to write down every time you spend money and then look at it. I've actually written 2 books, Money with Jess and The Money Diary, to help you start recording your budget by hand. If you are more technologically inclined, however, you may like to start your own spreadsheet or take advantage of the many great tools in the CommBank app to help you budget and track your money. For starters, I do really like having my notifications switched on so that I get a message every time money is debited or credited to my account, and I know which one I prefer out of those two. I also like to take advantage of the cash flow view and spend tracker features to categorize all my spending transactions and review them at the end of each month. The Bill Sense feature is also useful. It helps you to get a feel for your regular upcoming bills and shows you when they will fall due. I've also experimented with the budget category feature, which lets you predetermine an amount that you want to spend on a particular category. So if it's like eating out or shopping. So you set the amount and then it shows you at the end of the month how your actual spending lines up. There is something psychologically powerful, I think, about setting a limit and trying to stick to it, just as long as you don't beat yourself up too badly if you go over. Ultimately, whichever budget method you choose for managing your money, the important thing is that it should act as a tool to help you feel more empowered and in control of your cash flow. Now more than ever, budgeting is a great way to help manage your money day to day and also to start building your financial well-being and wealth for the future. I wish you the best of luck on your budgeting journey. For more tools and resources to help manage your money, search cost of living on our website.